Hello and welcome to Outfall Studios evaluation video to end with. So this is going to be our last video evaluating how we could save time, costs, that sort of stuff along the way. See if we could have improved in some aspects. We're going to go the usual order to do that. So, and we're going to open up open the floor to ask questions after each person, just so we can in case we want to suggest something.
It's going to be a very long video.
It's going to be a very long video. Ben?
Have a cup of tea, have a biscuit. Come on, watch us.
Have a cuppa.
Oh, put the kettle on.
Let's get started. So,
Ben first.
being a programmer, more so the focus with my area is making sure that the mechanics function the way that they should.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, it's a lot more refinement and just playing around to see how it matches how I feel would be better with the game. I know, because I'm the one who ultimately programs it to my liking.
He's the puppet master.
So, in terms of reducing the likes of costs, it's not really. There's not really anything of costs.
Yeah, it's just all in engine, isn't it?
It's all in
Well,
engine,
it's mainly what cost will count as time. So
yeah,
it would be like what things you could have spent less time on or more time on and stuff like that.
yeah. So really, the biggest thing of improvement I feel from me is simply just better organisation and management of my time.
Yeah.
Because I know we've had some mechanics in place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just at times when you suggest, let's add ladder mechanic, because you've changed.
Yeah, that
the
was
map,
yeah.
or you said add this because of. It's like at least we should have had something like it in place,
Mm-hmm.
or in the instance that you are going to change the level, stick to that plan.
Yeah.
So that at least.
Rather than change it, so you have to do more work.
And then also just from me, 'cause it's probably the wrong way. I should have done the weapon system first because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time to get right, and then prioritise stuff like changing the animations, making the character feel different from the UE4 mannequin,
Yeah.
and then ultimately bringing it all together. Because the refinement period's fine. It's just because there's still stuff that could have been done. It's just making sure that
Mm-hmm.
it would have been there. But really, in terms of why we can improve, obviously there's a lot of the mechanics could have been a little bit more refined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like obviously now if you do it again, you would know how to do them and stuff.
Yeah, I know how to do it now.
Exactly.
It's just in the sense of crunch time and making sure that
The things that need to be there are there.
yeah. So I'm quite I'm trying to think what to say.
Perfectionist.
Yeah, the perfectionist.
You like things to be a certain.
I like the idea of something being perfect.
Yeah, you want to keep it to a certain level.
And I guess that's just my downward because it's like the ladders really.
Yeah.
It should just work normally as it does. The way it works is essentially he moves up and down without really.
Yeah.
You just hold the button, he will move up and down regardless. And that's one of those things that after a little bit more time, just say, let's go back there.
Would
find a way to do it again.
would it have been easier to do it so? Because like certain games do it so you press a button and you only go up, and there's no reason to go.
That's probably the way I should have done it.
Yeah, just because there was no reason for them to go back down after that.
Yeah, he was just trying to see with a new system because
Yeah.
there's lots of tutorials and they offer like different things.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, there's new mechanics in there that I haven't tried before.
Yeah. It's all new stuff for you.
There's a lot of stuff. I know I said it at the start and ultimately it hasn't been followed upon. The use of C++. It's a little bit too broad.
What's C++ being used?
Not massively.
Well, again, you're learning, so it's not like
I know, but
it's not a big
I said
deal.
at the start and it's like...
you used a bit of it. So
it's something in it, I see.
Exactly. That's fine.
It's just one of those just...
You wish you did more C++.
I wish it, yeah. But ultimately, it uses all those systems and new stuff that I like.
Yeah.
It's at least something else for the portfolio.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
That's all I can really do from a time efficiency. It's just making sure you just plan better and just ultimately having a better plan.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Is there anybody that wanted to comment on see if you can improve anything or any way to improve on time or cost or anything like that. Because really, the main thing was the in organisation of like what stuff you had to do. So I think because originally we did give you a list of stuff, but again we didn't know about the ladder because we changed the map. Because we changed the map, which was a bit of a struggle to sort of get the mechanics back down for. So there was a lot of changes along the way that we couldn't really account for, but I think you dealt with it well. So that's all really we could ask for.
So it sounds like that you're the only programmer.
Yeah, exactly. It was already an uphill start. It was mad.
It might not be to perfection, but you've literally probably done like all the mechanics that everyone wanted more for the game.
Yeah, you did really well.
Exactly. At least you've got the stuff that we asked for to be put in,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. The standard of like quality doesn't really matter as long as it's in. So once it's in, you can improve it later.
I just like.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing to have as a programmer. But I think you really should. Well, no, as in like it's good to like have something perfect, but I think you should do it as in you just get it in first. Once all the things are done, you can then go back and make them all to your level of your level of quality and stuff, which is alright. Bit of Jackie.
Obviously, money is time.
Money is green.
Oh god. But yeah, in terms of how I could have reduced costs, would have been, I think weapons wise, it would have been a lot easier picking a few out from what we originally had on planning. Instead of doing like 4, reduce it down to 2. I feel like a lot of the weapons in the game wouldn't even got used anyway, especially just for one level. Because we predicted like 3-4 levels, didn't we? But then we scaled it down to just the one. Obviously, we moved it after to the city level.
I think that was mainly because we were planning on doing smaller levels.
Yeah.
But so we just made the level we did after
I just feel like as the weeks got on, the game obviously it was going to get bigger, but the idea was getting bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the weapons itself, I feel like we should have just done 2. Preferably, I would have gone with the water pistol and the AR, well, assault rifle.
Yeah. Not the M16.
No, because but yeah, I feel like the water pistol would have been good just for the game itself. We already discussed about that. But
it's a good standout item with its colours and stuff like that, so it'd be a good thing to start with.
I think optimising the time for it is just. I think the way I could have reduced the time for it would have been not doing as many high polys. Obviously, we had like the shader and that for the game, so naturally there wasn't going to be that much detail in it anyway. So I felt like if I didn't do all the high polys for it, like the Uzi, the M16, and that,
would save you a lot of time.
I think I would have saved a lot more time, and I think that would come and counter what I could have done more for the game.
Yeah. And also the fact it was a third person, you didn't really have to do that high poly either. Because they wouldn't look at it. Like if it's a first person, you'll do high poly, obviously.
Yeah.
But third person, you don't really need to worry about the detail of it as much as you would have as a first person.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's just like the amount of weapons I did was too much for what else I could have like focused on for the game. Like looking at job roles, I could have easily helped him. Obviously, I helped him like the first 3 days to like do like the TV and that. But after that, I went on to focus weapons because that was my job role at the time. I wish I stepped back.
Yeah, it was more of a prop artist rather than a gun weapon.
Yeah, did less weapons but helped you focus on getting more detail into the level itself. Because we're obviously coming up to the final video now. There's still like a lot of props that need to be put into the game, and I felt like there could have been a lot more just to fill it up a bit more. And that would have been a lot easier for you as well. It would have.
Yeah, took a lot of pressure off him.
Yeah.
And even you doing less guns means less pressure on Ben as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because the programming of the guns wasn't that easy, especially when we've been looking at the dev vlogs like the last couple of weeks for him, seeing the struggles that he's been through with it. So sometimes the weapons work, sometimes they don't.
It's not that. It's just the idea of tutorial when you go through so much of it and then say, oh, we're getting rid of this bit, just put in that.
Yeah.
Because that means my program's affected, his work's affected. It's just like.
Yeah. I think that's why we tried to look at putting more weapons into the level.
Yeah, it was props rather than actual weapons. Yeah.
But I felt like you only can have so many guns in the level.
Exactly. And I think if you had too many guns, it would be more like, well, can I put that one up?
Yeah.
It should. I think it should be more like pieces of guns rather than like a whole one. obviously
Yeah.
once you made a gun, you can split them apart and everything.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was just in terms of how I could have improved like time management and costs and everything,
Mm.
would have just been reducing the amount of weapons I actually was going to have, and then focusing on other props.
Because that would save so many people
Yeah.
more time and stuff.
Yeah, I felt like that would have helped and benefit the level much more
Mhm.
in the game. Just doing much more like individual props than doing
Yeah.
one whole weapon that
Mhm.
wasn't really going to be used or seen.
Yeah.
I felt like the assault rifle and the water pistol was completely fine.
And they were both unique enough to warrant 2 separate models.
But yeah, I think software wise, I should have not used ZBrush. Obviously, it was a good thing to use for it at the time, but in terms of time crunching, it just
It's
felt
not
like
needed.
low poly, the art style of the game, the shader and everything would have suited the low poly geometry of the gun a lot more. But yeah.
Nice. Anything anybody want to suggest? Talk to them about if you can improve anything, any software, anything.
Obviously for like other pieces or like software as well to save costs, like we could have gone like the free route as well of like looking at software which is free to use.
Or like Bloom.
Yeah, like
Blender.
Blender. Because with Blender as well, you can sculpt in there as well.
That's true. You can do
And
both.
you can texture as well, so it means like that would save a lot of money for everyone pretty much.
Yeah, that's
who are
what
doing
I
art
think for
stuff.
everybody as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we all use like ZBrush and stuff,
Yeah.
which is it's not
It's
good. It's not good on the coffers.
like it's good software, but like for now because we're an indie studio, like
It's not worth it.
yeah,
Really.
it wouldn't really worth it.
Yeah, I think it was just like bacon. I think I've mentioned it quite a few times now. The end with the assault rifle
Yeah.
bacon on it was
Messed.
completely messed.
Yeah.
So it was like constantly going like backlogging all the way to the high poly resculpting it again, and finally it doesn't work and again. So
Mhm.
it's just I think that's
It wasn't worth that. Wasn't worth that hassle.
2 weeks, and the fact that it wasn't really going to be seen in the game, like
Mhm.
the detail, it's just like
Yeah.
just move on texture it, and I think that's why I think I realised that near to the end when I did the rifle.
Me then. Okay. So for characters, I obviously use ZBrush and stuff like that, which as Logan said, Blender could have been used, but I do think having the ZBrush for the character stuff that I did was worth
Yeah.
the expense for it, just because just the amount of tools of it can really help me with the detail of it. And for a time when I started the character, I started with Mudbox because that was what I was comfortable with when I didn't need to at all, because you can do the exact same stuff in ZBrush and better. Like I did all the block out in Mudbox, which is finicky and stuff, but if I put it in ZBrush, I could just use like a Z-sphere and just block out like a stickman really easily, then sculpt it from there, which would just save a lot of time for importing, exporting and all that stuff, and it would give me a better base to start with, because I could have made a better like base model for it, then build upon it, which was easy things. Save time. Same sort of thing. Not having to change from 2 separate things like Mudbox and ZBrush and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jesus, because that wasted a lot of time, and again it just made the final product not as good, just because I spent so much time on a block out when I could have just ZBrush, Z-sphere, light block out, then put all the detail onto it, then like dynamesh it and stuff like that. Also, another thing to save time, I made the clothes and stuff like that in 3ds Max. For the shoes it was fine, but for the shirt and trousers I do think I should have, because how I ended up doing it was putting it in ZBrush, masking out the section and just extruding it from there, because that it works. It's just easier to have it in there than instantly sculpt onto it, rather than having to use like a box modeling software to like manually move each poly and stuff in the right position. Where if I did for the jumper and the final guy, I literally slapped it up, done all the curves and all the like extra bits. It wasn't as detailed because like I couldn't do a collar or stuff like that. But for what I ended up doing, it worked fine. Because I think I originally wanted to do like a suit jacket and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I couldn't figure out how to do it just because I didn't I didn't know what tools to use and stuff like that. So for the final product, I don't think I would have used 3ds Max for any clothes besides from the shoes. And if I saved that time, I could have also done the stuff with the mask, which would have been good. Like, because I think originally we was going to do two head models, one without a mask, so the hair's normal, and one with a mask, where the hair's sort of slit back a bit more.
Yeah.
I could have done that by doing, when I did the fibre mesh stuff for the hair, making that a separate model, and then just swapping the hair model out. But I think I merged it just because when I was texturing it, it was just easy to do. But I don't know, what was the thing I could have done? But trying to think some more. Nothing that's coming off the top of my head that I could save time on. Obviously, yeah. And when I finish a character, if I did all that, I could have probably finished the character earlier, which means I could have either helped or make another character, or edit the character more, or add more clothing or stuff like that, or get animations for you and stuff, and like help out with how you're doing stuff. Work more time on the skeletal mesh and stuff like that.
I was going to say, because you spent like a week and a bit on like 3ds Max trying to get the clothes, and it just wasn't working. And then literally banged out the clothes in ZBrush in
like a day or two. Yeah.
I feel like that time you could easily like started like another character, like another.
Yeah, I could have probably got it unwrapped and textured by then, because the unwrapping didn't take as long as I thought it would, because the clothes wasn't complicated, and the texturing didn't take as long as it would, because all the texture was skin detail, which wasn't the hardest thing in the world. But you know, and I could have like worked on more like finicky bits like the hair and stuff like that. But you know, it's done now.
Maybe using like more Z-spheres more prominently as well.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, well, like
I didn't know about it.
if you had that knowledge, then
Yes, I wouldn't have to use the mud box. Bloody Z spheres.
But yeah, I think optimising your time, you could have, like what you started in Modbox, where you had like a basic mesh for the character, you could literally made it with the.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a lot of trouble with the base mesh as well, because when I did because I built it in, because I did it in Mudbox, you have to do like weird, you do spheres and then mould them weirdly. I had a bit for the chest, a bit for the stomach. Each bit was separate, so the thigh, knee, joint, everything was separate. Where it would have been better to have a Z-sphere, make it all one, so then I can literally just mask out the body and do it, rather than have to like make a completely new body mesh out of two, and it didn't really merge very well, so it was just a bit too finicky for me.
Yeah,
be much easier, save a lot of time. But yeah, that's anything I could do to help out now. Animations, really. If you need any more, I could try and find some for you on the mix. Or if you need any adjustments, I couldn't give it a go. Okay, cool. Then nothing then. Okay. Logan!
So, thinking about it, there's a lot of things I could have done differently.
True.
like picking them.
So, to reduce the costs of everything pretty much, again, we could have used Blender as a modelling software. Also, Houdini has a free indie license to studios as well, so we could have used Houdini. So the models that Ellis is modelling for me, I could basically slap all them into Houdini, export it all out, and then within Unreal, there's like sliders and things, and you can change the procedural generation of like all the buildings, so it'd all be done automatically pretty much. And all you need to do then is just put the material IDs on, and then it's basically smoke and mirrors.
Which one's is no? I was thinking Houdini isn't the one where you can do like clothes, is it?
No.
That's what I was thinking of.
But yeah, it's very good for like building worlds like Unreal Engine 5, the tech demo with the Matrix demo. They use Houdini in that, and it works extremely well. And it's very easy to tweak. So that's one of the things which would save me a lot of time instead of doing it like all individually. Saying that, I should have also used prefabs. So these are like blueprints for the buildings. So basically you get the set pieces, build them up, and then you can just export them out as one big building.
Obviously.
But yeah, for some reason I just didn't do that.
So he gets floors separately from hell, and he just
yeah, so for some reason I just thought, this would be a good thing to do. So yeah, didn't use prefabs, which is very bad.
You plonker.
And then how would I optimise the workflow as well? Because basically, if I could have used Houdini and used the prefabs, I'd have a lot more time to help out with the models and try and get the levels done. The same goes for like the way we would model as well. So if we was going to do this again, we could do it to model out a texturer and a builder. So someone models everything, gets it unwrapped, pass it on to a texturer, they texture everything, and then it gets sent off to the builder, and it's constant like cycle of models being pumped through. That would also like kind of slow down the scope of the game as well, because we would have to focus on one level at a time if all three of us are working on that constant loop.
And yeah, when anytime you don't have anything to do, you go, oh, make a new level.
Yeah. So that was one of the issues we had, because basically the blockout was done for the house level, and I was pretty much like, well, we might as well get the other level done as well. So yeah, it
So
kind of spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, and originally we was going to do a cul-de-sac, which would have been much smaller, because we could have focused on a bit more stuff. Like, for example, we could focus on each room a bit easier. But we then, I don't remember who decided it. Probably you.
Yeah, probably me.
To just make a massive town and like a
Yeah,
city,
yeah.
like not London, in New York. So that means he has to make a bunch of buildings, and you then don't make them into prefabs.
Yeah. So one way I could also improve as well with the whole thing is composition. So one of the key things I had for the city level was like, you climb on top of a building and your target is in plain sight. Now the composition's alright, but yeah, it definitely needs improving. So for me to be able to get like the storytelling in the world and kind of focus on the things that I want to do, I need to work on my composition, like getting the raw thirds in there, and spending a bit of time actually researching how games do it, because I feel like I rushed into it. And some of it makes sense, because obviously when you play games you pick up on little things, unless that's just me. But yeah. You pick up on a few things, but yeah, definitely needed to do more research into that. And I feel like the planning side I should have planned a bit more, just because again it was more of a rush getting a strain engine and kind of building something up with a few little images. We should just spend a bit more time slowing down and kind of, being a perfectionist like Brandon says.
Ben,
yeah.
I think, I'm not sure if it was on a video, but I'm sure I did ask for you to do, because when you started the second level, I realised you were doing it very quickly.
Yeah.
And there were points that you wanted to stick in, but I remember telling you to do it. So how you plan it out? You plan it on a piece of paper first, obviously.
Yeah.
Get each point of interest.
Think
Think of a screenshot you want the character to see instantly. Then build the bits in between, like how to make the character either slow down, speed up, where it's going to go, where the obstacles are going to be. Where it was more, I want them here, I want them here, I want them here. Then built in between when it should have been more flowy. Really. Set that from the start, yeah. Listen.
Yeah. Oh, that's mad. No, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
But because you're good at sketching, you could have probably done it very well.
Good at sketching. Scratching it, it's not sketch. But yeah, I just feel like the workflow just could have been like optimised a bit better. Actually, optimising the models as well could have been a little bit better, because I could have just put them in engine and kind of loaded them myself. Because Unreal's good, but it does like what is it, like a relative kind of thing to it. Only takes 50% off every load. So it would have been better if we could just have more freedom and more control on like my own lots.
Probably better just use UE5.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we use nanos and all our problems were gone.
Exactly.
Thank
UE5.
you.
There's characters.
Those epic games, yeah.
There's characters even made into it. I don't even need to be here.
Like normal mapping of the buildings as well.
Yeah, like literally, we could just use UE5.
We could use UE5 and press the make game button.
Yeah, like you can model in UE5.
Can you?
Yeah. We were watching a video the other day.
Yeah, you can.
Someone, literally got a displacement map.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's
It's
crazy.
insane.
That's alright, crazy that.
And it makes a high poly mesh, and it's like probably like millions of polys.
Blech.
We don't do.
So yeah, Blender and UE5.
Yeah.
Easy dubs.
Well, UE5 just.
Actually, you don't need Blender if you have UE5.
Bye-bye, Blender.
Any comments on any suggestions to Logs? What you could improve?
What was your main inspiration behind turning it into a cul-de-sac into a city?
The Last of Us.
Oh. Yeah, because you got a Last of Us.
Yeah.
You got a Last of Us book, didn't you?
Yeah, I brought The Last of Us, played it, and I was like, oh, this looks good.
When you decided to make it into a city, did you take in consideration the making of it?
Of course he didn't.
Yeah. Have you not seen the level?
What level?
I built it.
Oh.
No,
He didn't build
you
it.
built the things. He put them in.
Yeah.
you made the Lego bricks. He
Yeah.
put them in.
You made the Lego bricks. I made the art.
No. He made the Fallout prefabs, and you made a wood box with them. You did fine. You did fine.
Right. I'd like to hand in my resignation to the studios.
It does seem to
But yeah, like I did plan out how it was going to act and where the player would go and what would happen at certain areas. Like that's why when you look at the level, there's only like if the player can't see anything, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So it is optimised, and I try to do the best I can. So there's only one person working on it, and you did a good job of modelling everything. So yeah, like I did take in consideration all that stuff.
Cool beans.
Okay, so well, reducing costs. Well, that's the elephant in the room. Obviously, Blender for one.
There's no
But to be
elephant in
honest,
this room.
to be honest, I'm more than happy to like just use DDS Max with the student license and like, you know, for the buildings. Just because Blender's all good and all, but it's not my proficiency. I don't specialise in it.
And learn it.
Learn it. Also, you're
The
not a student.
You're a developer.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
developer.
So you couldn't use we couldn't use student license on ZBrush.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay,
Okay.
continue.
I guess instead of Sims Paint, I could have used Photoshop as well, depending on how far I wanted to go. But
Photoshop for what?
again, texturing, like tiling materials.
Simpsons isn't that expensive for an indie
Yeah, you can get the Adobe
You know,
package.
we're reducing costs, Toby.
No, but the Adobe package.
But yeah, I guess. But Photoshop is also quite expensive.
No, but like even if you brought Photoshop, you'd probably get Substance anyway, 'cause it's all in Adobe.
Oh, is it?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yes, okay. I thought either way. Since I would have had it. 3D modeling, yeah, I could have used Blender, but again, I think I feel like how long it would take me to learn it, it would just be easier for me just to carry on using 3ds Max. Because the amount of time it would take me to learn it, by the time I'm familiarised with myself with the scale, you know, metrics and stuff, a lot of time would have just been wasted just learning it. So, yeah. The city came to a surprise. It was a welcome surprise because I took on the challenge. I think I took it a little bit too much. I should have maybe asked for help a few times because I feel like I made too many buildings for like what we were going for. Like too many, like there's like 16 or 17 types of buildings. Something stupid like that. Like I feel like there's too many buildings that I made all by myself that I could have just texture and use trim sheets on. From what I've made so far, I think it's fine, but I feel like I could have been better by planning my time out more efficiently through the few buildings that I made, not all these like 17 types of buildings. So if I made like 8 types of buildings instead, if I planned my time out well, throughout that, I feel like I could have gotten done like a long time ago with it. But yeah, that's how I would kind of change things.
Anything you'd change, like how you made the buildings?
Yeah, not with the building specifically, but I think I would change one big thing in the trim sheets, and that is that historical design with the big loops. The way they set up the trim sheets is that they have like actual like flows of trims. So if you put like a polygon, a UV over like a flow, like a trim, it'll display that detail. This big hoop has 2 like flows of trims into one.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. It's awkward because
Is it just crazy?
if I don't know how to explain it. I give up on English. But
You can look it up.
yeah. I wish I changed that a little bit more because it
Yeah.
took too much space on the trim sheets and it looks weird with other buildings. So, which is easy to fix, but it's an issue that should not have those.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Don't know what else. Trim sheets. I think that you 3 could have improved on your communication with each other.
Yeah.
Because that would save a lot of time. Because I know you had a problem with wording conventions.
Yeah.
Buildings being made, where the levels are going to be put, someone didn't use prefabs.
So when they name them, then the name conventions are wrong. So apparently version 3 means the top.
Yeah. You guys could have established, because I know you tried to do this because I helped you with it, was establish the colour palette, establish the settings, establish everything like that.
Oh yeah.
Just so you guys know what colours to use, stuff like that.
To be fair, I feel like the communication between me and you has been alright.
Yeah.
It's just mainly been me and you.
Yeah, I think you guys should have stuck together rather than
Yeah.
you talking to him, you talking to him. It should have been you all in a call,
Yeah.
you all in a spider diagram thing,
Yeah.
talking amongst each other and stuff like that.
To be honest, I should have asked for like some help or guidance on the sites in the buildings because
Yes.
there's so much for me to kind of like.
Like if you wasn't sure on something, you should ask him. If he
Yeah.
didn't know,
I was gonna
him.
say,
If he didn't know, none of you know, and you shouldn't do it.
He's making more levels that don't need to be made yet. Then
It's like spreading the focus.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's also spreading the load where if you've done something, help him. If he's done something, he can help you. If he's done something, he can help you. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Rather than him going, I want to make a new level.
To be fair though, I think the reason why we made the level as well is because you already did the walls, didn't you? And then I think we discussed that you was going to work on the props. So we were just saying that you would work on the second level.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why it was. Like,
Yeah, the choice of level wasn't
Yeah,
bad. It
it
was just the main thing was
Yeah.
it was a difference for him mainly.
It was. I definitely welcomed the level with what went on. Like I really enjoyed making it. But I feel like I just took too much in. You know?
Yeah, scooped too much on the
Yeah.
pot.
Right, so to save time and resources and money, I would have done a lot more of what I've done like sort of towards the end, which was combining different assets and things in the same UV. So with the two books having it in the same UV, but if I was to like go back and like plan ahead properly, I would do it by like either by room or like by whole by pretty much like the house level with all the assets and in the same like UV or a few different ones, just to save resources and time on your part as well, just like for when you're putting it in engine, and it just saves resources in engine as well. And to save poly count as well, just putting it as like certain things through ZBrush as well, and just Dynamesh, that was it, and just reducing the overall poly count with some of the things like the sofa as well, like reducing the polys of the cushions and things like that, and then just baking that on. Is
With
anything else?
with the reducing polys and stuff, I do think because you're now doing it now. I'm not sure. I can't remember if you mentioned it because my brain shut off for a sec. You began when you started modelling doing a high poly, then reducing it with a thing in 3ds Max, and you're now doing low poly to high poly, which is better because then you can build the detail up and then just slap it on rather than reducing the thing that's already there and meant to look a bit weird. Like for the chair, for example, you could have made the whole frame low poly because it's a frame, you already know. Do a few shampoos and stuff to make it high poly. Then the cushions all in ZBrush, all of it completely. So then you can Dynamesh it, you can do all that sort of stuff, or in Blender or whichever we use. So I think that would be a big time saving thing for you. But again, you've done it now, which is good. So you've already improved. Well done, Kieran. Very well done. Anything else, Ellis?
So the trim sheets.
Speak up, remember.
So the trim sheets could have been made so when you make a trim sheets full of different materials like wood, plastic, glass, metal, whatever. Just take the models, put it over the material you desire on the trim sheets. Done. That's a big factor.
Great.
basically what we're saying is if you made a trim sheet of different materials, you could just texture everything really quickly, very easily there with like little to no problems.
Yes.
It's like the frame of the bed, the frame of the stuff like that could have been.
And like
Slapped on.
with the shadow, like they're not really going to see the repetitions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a prop, you're not going to go, that would look similar to that wood.
Yeah.
It would be, 'cause it's wood.
I mean, I do when we were playing
It's 'cause you're an
games.
idiot.
And I'm there like, oh look at this is a bit low poly.
I do check for seams now,
Yeah.
which is just a curse.
That's what you get for playing games.
That's what I do.
Can't join him. So.
Something else I noticed, you kind of mentioned it earlier as well. Like, you know, like when you were making the lamp and you had like different IDs.
Oh
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Do not do that. Because you did it before you knew about black masks, didn't you?
Well,
Max.
I've done it in the past, right? And it, like when I've gone through to bake it, it's put it through on one material ID, but like as of recent, it's put it through different like multiple different like material things. So I've stuck to the black mask and everything like 100% now.
Yeah, for like props you shouldn't use. Like I'll use them because it's a character, and I need them to do separate details easier. So because it actually would just like blend through and look a bit weird. But for like a lamp, you can just black mask it with like a poly select or something.
Yeah.
Especially because it's just a lot for like a small prop
I
to
mean,
have.
to be honest, I think I used it very briefly like a while ago, so
Yeah.
it kind of like I kind of forgot a bit about it.
It's good. Cool beans. Anything else, anybody? To do keys? Same time? Anybody?
The only thing I'd say is to improve on is just like, some of that's already been touched upon, like keeping an eye on poly counts and that.
Yeah.
Just getting ready to like optimise things a lot better as well.
Poly counts, texture sizes, stuff like that. Be very aware of them.
Yeah, like a few things where, like, 'cause it's a third-person game, like the pen, for example, on like the table, it can be very low poly, like no one's gonna even notice it.
Yeah.
But obviously, like
Unless you're in.
unless you mean, but yeah, just keep in mind like poly counts, texture sizes. So like obviously using 512 on most props, 1024 if it's a large prop. With a shader like low resolution isn't really an issue anyway, like because it all just blends and suits the theme of the game. So yeah. Fine.
Cool beans. Any general comments? For what we all could have improved on, besides from obviously the blender stuff and the stuff like that.
I think there's one that I mentioned earlier that you kind of mentioned as well, but I kind of want to bring it up again.
Oh yeah.
Is that personally, I really do need to work on communication skills, because another reason why it kind of went down was. Another reason why it kind of went down on my end was because if I had a good clear line of communication, then there would be there was opportunities for me to get help.
Yeah.
In order to like finish these models off, or like textures, or like if I need login to make something like a tiling material, like a simple concrete tiling material, or like a double one. He's always right there. So like personally for me, it was just communication, and in the future I hope to improve on this. But because I've always been there, just a
like one of the things I noticed as well is that you'd ask Toby a lot of the things.
Because he doesn't want to ask you.
Yeah.
No one likes asking you anything.
No.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Like you're nicer.
Yeah. But like you'd ask Toby a lot of things, but like you should have just come to me or Kieran. Like.
I usually do tell the people who would probably need to hear it about the stuff that you showed me.
Yeah.
And it's fine. If you are more comfortable talking to me, it's fine.
Well, the reason why I asked him is because if he likes it, it's bad.
Oh, no, okay.
Okay. So we have this thing, right? We have this thing.
Don't do it on the last video.
If it's stylised, Toby likes it, that means it's bad. If he doesn't like it, if it's realistic, it looks really good. That's how you judge
I like
everything.
realistic stuff. I just prefer stylized.
You do give really good feedback though, like when
Exactly.
when
I'm great.
And if he says he likes it, restart.
Yep. That's why I talk.
Also got a good eye for detail. Yeah. That's why you hate. That's why you don't ask me anything.
Yeah. Just
Especially with that tarpaulin. Oh.
don't mention it.
I think overall, just to wrap this up really,
Yeah.
I think we kind of get away from the point of saying like overall what we have all done as a collective.
Yes. Continue.
As a collective, we've gone and tried new things, all of us.
Yeah, we've all done it.
And I think overall what we have produced all together is
you've grown
quite
Quite good.
Yeah.
the peak of where we want to be.
Yeah.
I think optimising as well as just knowing software. Like
Yeah,
like
it's much more of a skill issue than
software involved in it. Like
Yeah.
obviously you doing characters now in ZBrush, which is really good. He's tried to learn C++ on the side of it. Obviously he wanted to do a bit more. But
Yeah, but obviously, yeah.
Yeah, that's just ultimately the nature of it. We we've all done a lot of good things. We've all ultimately made something that's showcased the best of our skills. There's obviously stuff that we could improve on, but ultimately, that is game development.
None of the stuff that we did would be considered bad in any of our
expertise.
in our expertise,
Yeah,
because the
Or
point where we are.
it's just, you never know, if we had a bit more time, a bit more knowledge per se.
I was going to say 16 weeks for a game is not that much.
Yeah, and the
It's
fact that
not,
we,
it's not even 16 weeks.
the fact that we've got a level, we've got 2 levels really, to a point where if you had more time, you could definitely put enemies in there and have a bit more time on programming. You could just have quite a decent vertical slice of a game,
Yeah.
and you can continue it further, which is more than anybody could really ask for, really.
Yeah, like we've all improved.
It's basically, we're all great.
Yeah, we're
All
all
our ups and
amazing.
downs.
We're all amazing. We're all good.
But yeah,
We're all very warm. It's so warm in here.
but another thing with optimising workflow is just learning software.
Yeah.
Think beforehand, just get some ideas we should have and how things work. But
Yes. That would be the final thing that we all say.
Yeah.
We need to learn software.
Yeah.
No.
Project.
Yes. Cool. Well, I think that will wrap us up, I guess.
It's been emotional.
Yeah, I don't
Will
think.
we be back?
It's been a
I
great
don't think
ride.
we'll do another video. I don't think.
Will we? Will we not? Or will we have to wait for Deadmare to be released?
Ooh.
Remastered.
There's some Instagram stuff, I believe, because
Look at the Instagram.
yeah, because we're going to post all of the final things, final walkthrough, final character, final programming, final props, final everybody. I'll probably do a post for each person. So on the Instagram, we'll do a post for each person.
And then
Just
we'll
showcase a bit easier.
free copy of Deadmare to anyone who likes this video. When it releases.
In 3024.
Yeah. No, it'd be 3069.
Yeah, anyway.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.